What up, y'all? It's your man, Abuamerican. Hey, I got a quick request slash question. I was asked about me being on the no-fly list, and I should make a video about it. So what we'll do is first off, we'll start off with the intangible, the feeling, and then we'll go into the potential etiology of how I ended up on the list. Because I don't know. To this day, I really don't know why I'm on the list. Uh, I can't stand terrorists. I'd like to see them shot in the face. So I'm not, I have no relation or connections to terrorists that I know of. Maybe I know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy who's the uncle's cousin's nephew of a terrorist. I don't know. That could be the case, but, no one's giving me information. Anyway, let's come down to it. First, the intangible feelings. First and foremost, it felt kind of like unjust, unfair. It was confusing. Because nobody would give me information, tell me why I'm on the list, when I was on the list, nothing, who I could talk to get off the list. So it felt kind of unfair because at the time, all the way up until I knew I was on the list, I paid my taxes and all this stuff, and I didn't realize that I wouldn't have, taxation without representation. That's why the U.S. basically like left the British Empire, because we were, Americans were being taxed without representation of the government. And that's how it kind of felt. Kind of felt unfair. Kind of felt, like, man, what the hell? I don't care anymore. I don't know. I don't know, don't care why I'm not on the list or why I'm on the list. It doesn't matter to me anymore. Next is the madness of it all. Now, the madness comes from I've been in nearly 40 countries and I've never been refused entry into any country except the United States. Now that's the madness. I have an American passport but can't fly to America. But if I wanted to go to France, anywhere in the world, I can go there via airplane or via however you pronounce it, however you want to pronounce it. And I can enter that country uninhibited, no problems. I can enter into that country. But I can't do that into the United States, my own country. I was flying with Air Canada. I was supposed to go through Canada and then fly into the US from Canada. Now, Canadian Airlines, that's who I was flying with. Canadian Airlines was like, we are perfectly fine with you flying into Canada. We don't have a problem with that. But they said, we can't allow you to fly into the United States. The U.S. government has asked us not to allow you to fly from Canada into the U.S. So that tells you right there something's wrong because Canada's like, man, whatever, dude, come on in, let's go. They even said they provided us no justifiable reason or information for us to deny you access to a flight. It was like, because we have our no-fly list also. But Canadian Airlines said, they haven't provided our security information, our security agencies. We requested because they went into the back. I was at the airport for several hours. They said, we'll put you on the next available flight. Their security and intel personnel couldn't get information from the U.S. government. So they said, well, if you want to fly to Canada, come on, homie. But we can't let you fly to the U.S. I chose to stay in Europe because I don't know anyone in Canada, and I didn't know if I'd be able to get transportation across the border to the U.S. So I just decided to go ahead and stay in Europe with family. So that was the feelings, just a lot of confusion, just madness, whatever else, and I didn't know what was going on. Now, like I said, I don't even care because I started a new life. So let's go into the history and potential etiologies or reasons, the lead up to this. First and foremost, I accepted Islam in 1998. I used to be Christian. I worked for the U.S. military at the time. I accepted Islam on a U.S. military installation in Kaiserslautern, Germany. At the time, I was working for headquarters USAFE at Ramstein Air Force Base. Back when CENTCOM was still in Germany. It's moved since then. I'm not sure where in the world it was. I think first it went to Djibouti, then it went to, what's the name of that place? Qatar, Doha. Then I think it moved to like Iraq. They just bounce it around, just probably for security purposes, whatever. Nonetheless, I accepted Islam at a U.S. military installation. And the first thing that came out was like the masjid was under surveillance from military intelligence. And you could literally walk outside the masjid door, look right, and you could look at military intelligence. That's how close we were. And it was just a running joke that we were under observation and under surveillance. At that time, it was, of course, pre-9/11 days, but the trade towers had been attacked. There was a lot of terrorist attacks. Some domestic, I think Timothy McVeigh and all that stuff had taken place. But there had been a lot of, terrorism related to Muslims back then. So, observation had started already. So it could be that post 9/11, I was already on some sort of watch list just for being a Muslim working for the military, and that just carried over, and they put me on a no-fly list. I don't know. I haven't been back to the U.S. in 27 years, so at any time during this story, I could have been put on the list. I don't know when. Then 9/11 happened, And I was working at headquarters, you say, like I said. And just a quick story. I was at work and I was just doing all my processing and whatnot. And one of my coworkers, she comes up to me, she says, "Somebody flew an airplane into the World Trade Center." I was like, "Really?" I was like, "They couldn't see that outside the window. That's a pretty big building." I said, "What, did they have like a damaged altimeter?" And she just looked at me like, and she just turned around and walked off. I was like, "What the hell's wrong with that crazy ass lady?" So I went on the internet, and when I looked, when I tried to look, because the internet was basically crashed because so many people were trying to get on there. But when it finally came up, the second plane had hit the tower, and then I realized it was a terrorist attack, and it all kind of like, whoa, what the hell happened? Anyway, shortly after that, I got a visit from a guy from OSI. That's the Office of Special Investigations. And he didn't admit it at first. He came in the office and he started asking for some random name person. I was like, he doesn't work here. And he's like, "Oh, well, I'm looking for this such and such so and so office." I'm like, "Well, that's not here." And he kept on asking questions. I was like, "Look, man," I said, "it seems like you want something else because I told you this isn't that office, and I don't know where that office is, and I told you I don't know who that guy is, and you're still sort of hanging out, man, just having this weird conversation." He's like, "Yeah, yeah," and he whips out his badge and he tells me he's with OSI. And it's been so long that I don't remember the nature or like, the content of the conversation, unfortunately. Maybe I should have documented it, but back then I didn't think like that. And he just left, and that was the end of that. So it could be at that point, he came over because I gave him my name or whatever. I don't have a problem telling the guy, that whole mentality, that stupid mentality, and you're a fool if you believe this. If you're not guilty, you won't have anything to hide. That's not true, You can be not guilty, not have anything to hide, and they'll still throw you under the bus. But nonetheless, I gave my information. I didn't mind. I didn't care. I'm like, hey, whatever. You guys know I'm working at headquarters. You safe. You guys know who I am. So it could have been then. By then I'd been traveling. I'd really started upping my travel, and I was flying out to Birmingham. I was flying over Han with Ryanair, and it flies to Stansted. And I got stopped by like German, what are they called? The guys who check your passport, immigration. And they were just surprised I had so many stamps on my passport. I'd been to Morocco by then. I'd been to like a few other places. And he was like, "Hey, we need to photocopy this." I was like, "Fine." He was like, "We're going to contact, this one or that one." I was like, "Man, do what you got to do, dude." I was like, "I'm good, man." I was like, "I'm going to a Salafi conference and we're talking about terrorism right now and like how we're against it." So he photocopied it. It could be that, they did an inquiry because one of my German bank accounts got closed down shortly after. I guess the bank freaked out because they probably got an inquiry. And I could have been put on the list back then. I don't know. But for me, it was just normal. It's part of being Muslim. Okay, after that, my passport had got really full because I'd really started traveling. By then, I had been to Kuwait. I had been to Bahrain. I had been to Saudi Arabia. I had been to UAE. I had really started up my like Middle Eastern travel, like, going to see like way far out places. I'd been to Turkey. So I was just going around just touring the world, checking places out. So I sent my passport off because it was full. And I needed to get more pages added. And I had actually worked in Saudi by then, and so I had big, like, huge visa stamps in there. So I sent it to Frankfurt, and I did everything right. Crossed the T's, dotted the I's, sent them the self-addressed stamped envelope so they could send my passport back. And I was talking to one of my homies. I won't say his name on here. He lives in Saudi now. He's a white dude. He's my best friend in the world. We were just talking, and he was like, "You ain't gonna get your passport back. You know that, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And we were just like, he's like, "They're gonna make you come up and get it." I was like, "Yeah, I kind of figured the same." And sure enough, I got a phone call. "Oh yeah, we lost your envelope, your self-addressed stamped envelope, so we can't send it back. Can you just come pick it up?" And blah blah blah. I was like, "Yeah, okay." So I go up there, and it was probably, in retrospect, it was probably a bad idea. But I was like, I took my kids with me because I was like, you know what? If they're going to try and detain me, they're not going to detain me because my kids are here. My kids, although they're dual citizens at the time, they only had German passports. And so if they wanted to detain me, they'd have to detain German citizens. And that would be real iffy. But in retrospect, it was probably really stupid, putting my kids in like the line of fire that I was in. It's really, really dumb. But, that's what you do when you're young because this was a long time ago. Nonetheless, I go up there. They're expecting me. They shush me around to the back. I mean, I just got past security. They searched me and everything, and they did their full security check. But, like, considering how there's a huge, long line, they just told me, cut the line. This is what they told me on the phone. And just come up to the window, and they'll be waiting for me. Sure enough, they were waiting for me. I was like, "Oh, Mr. Lilly, yeah, go around the side." So I come in. I get the royal treatment. I got an attaché waiting for me. This guy's, like, in his suit and everything. He's like, "Oh, hi, I'm so-and-so, Ted Doublina." And he gives me the full run. "Hey, while you're here, can we talk to you? I was like, yeah, I think it's a bit weird that, I'm just here to pick up a passport for some added, pages that you go through all this and just, bring me right around security and everything. So I said, I was kind of expecting this. And he's like, really? Why? Really? And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. It's like, because everybody's stupid, right? So anyway, I go into this office with my kids, and they got the good cop, bad cop. They've got two FBI agents in there, or CIA. I don't know what they are. I got the business card to this day. It's this lady. She gave me her card. It says FBI, but I don't know that the FBI operates outside the United States. I'm pretty sure that's CIA. Nonetheless, they've got this bombshell blonde agent and this ugly dyke agent, and of course the bombshell's playing nice and the dyke is playing. It just wouldn't have worked anyway, other way anyway. But anyway, they're going back and forth, and we have this big, like, 3.5 hour conversation. And it was just stupid. It was really just a bunch of stupidity. So at that point, I could have been on a no-fly list also. And nonetheless, they gave me my passport. They let me go. They gave me their card. Said, hey, you hear anything from anybody, terrorist, blah, 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 give me a contact. It should tell you that I haven't contacted her to this day. That's how many extremists I come in contact with. And this is over 15 years ago. No, not 15 years. Sorry. What am I talking about? My math is bad. This was over, maybe 10 years ago. So, whatever. Okay, what came next? I had moved to Qatar by then. I was working for the Qatar Armed Forces. Same thing. My passport was expiring. The pages were full. I wanted to get a new passport. So I go to the embassy. I make the appointment and everything. I go there, and I drop off my passport. I'm about to get the new one, and then the guy's like, look, we're going to have to confiscate your passport, and we can't give you your new one. I was like, dude, you're confiscating my passport, and you won't give me a new one, and I'm in a foreign country. And he's like, yeah, I know, it's really bad, but, your name popped up on a list, and this, that, the other. And I was like, my name popped up on a list? What sort of list? And he was like, we just need to check it out. About maybe 5-7 days later, he called. Come on and pick up the passport. Came and pick up the passport. No problems. I left. Okay, prior to this, I forgot. A friend of mine flew to the United States and they asked him, where's Abuamerican? It was my actual name. And he was like, you mean so-and-so? Because they said the first name wrong. Right? Correct letter and correct last name, but the first name was said wrong. And he was like, what are you talking about? This, that, the other. So he hit me up on WhatsApp, or I can't remember what it was, or Skype or something. He was like, hey man, dude's looking for you. I was like, looking for me? I was like, I'm not hiding from anybody. And he's like, yeah, whatever. So I called the U.S. Embassy, and I asked to talk to their on-duty intelligence agent, and I got him on the phone, and I was like, hey man, I was like, I heard you guys are looking for me. I said, I'm gonna come in and let's deal with this. And he said, okay. So we made an appointment. I came in like 2 days later. We sat down inside the little investigation office. He says, hey, you know what? We're not looking for you. I said, but my friend just flew to the U.S. and you guys asked by my name. He's like, I don't think he was confused. I was like, so I'm here and I want to answer any questions. If you guys want to talk to me, if you want to detain me, let's deal with this. I gave my family money in case I get detained so that they can leave Qatar and go back to Germany. And he's like, no, we're not looking for you. We have no record of you whatsoever. I was like, I was detained in like I wasn't detained. Sorry. I was questioned in Frankfurt by like FBI/CIA people. He's like, no, we don't have that on record. Nothing. Then right then I knew he's lying. I was like, really? He was like, yeah, really. I was like, okay. Well, I said, well, anyway, here I am. Here's my name. You know who I am. I'm Muslim. I'm American. I'm living here. And if you guys ever need any information or help or whatever, give me a call. And he was like, okay, thanks. And he actually offered me assistance. He said, hey, if your employer gives you a hard time, let us know and we'll sort that guy out. So I left and that was the end of that. Don't know. 2013, I came into the UK visiting my homie, the same guy. Every time it's the same white guy. He's my best friend. Love that dude to death, man. I got stopped in the UK. Now, this was kind of my own fault. They didn't stop me just randomly. I was coming through immigration. And it was just madness. I was like looking at all these brown people. I'm a brown person too. I was just like, man, this is nuts. There was no white people flying into the UK. And I mean, it was packed, the airport. So I get to the counter. I said, it's like this every day? And she was like, yeah. And she was stamping everything, asking me a basic question. I said, man, so you guys got a real immigration problem. You got to put stamps, you got to put the clamps on this. And she just sort of froze and then she just pulled out a plastic bag, put my passport in. It was like, intelligence wants to speak to you. I was like, God, dang it, me in my mouth. Yeah, but I can't shut up if you guys haven't noticed. So anyway, I sit with these guys for like 2.5 hours, and it's just Comedy Central, man. I love those dudes. Muslims might get mad, but those British intelligence guys are absolutely freaking hilarious. We had a laugh for like 2.5 hours straight. Then they let me go and into the United Kingdom, and I hung out with my homies for a while. Big pounds out to my homies, and we had a good time. Also, we didn't get to go around London like we wanted to because I had lost 2.5 hours, so I only got 2 hours in the hotel just laughing and joking some more. But that could have been two. British intelligence could have contacted U.S. intelligence, said, hey, we picked your dude up, and I could have been put on the list back then. But they let me into the U.K., so apparently I'm not much of a threat. And seeing how I'm in the U.K. right now, they obviously don't think I'm a threat, or they would have stopped me and prevented me from entering the country as I'm a foreign citizen. So it's very easy to detain me and kick me out and not let me in because I have no rights here. 2014, I go to Germany to see my family on the way to the U.S. This is the coming back to the beginning of the story. I want to get on the flight. They tell me I can't go. I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why I'm in this position. That's the honest goodness truth. I know everybody who's on a no-fly list says they, even people who know why they're on it say, I don't know why I'm on it, but I really don't, guys. I don't have any reason to hide it. If I thought I knew somebody who was like some sort of terrorist-minded individual, I'd say, hey, you know what? I'm on this list because I was hanging out with this joker and blah, 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 blah. And I go deal with that. But there's no one I can speak to who can tell me why I'm on the list. And I've spoken to the DIA, Defense Intelligence Agency. I've spoken to some CIA guys, FBI guys, some weird agencies I can't even name. So it's very arbitrary, and I'm not sure what it's all about, but that's basically the story of me and the no-fly list. I'm on it, and I don't know why, and I can't go back into the United States. They gave me some sort of methodology to like one-time fly back into the U.S., but look, I've been outside the U.S. for almost 30 years. Close to 30 years I've been outside the U.S. Yes, I am that old. And I just said, screw it, man. I'm going to keep going full circle. If you're on a no-fly list like me, guys, and you've been outside the U.S. for a long time, just keep it pushing. I've learned to survive in foreign countries and then learn to thrive in foreign countries. So that's what I'm going to do in this country. Right now, I'm on survival mode because I'm just getting started, and I'll come to thrive mode. And my national loyalty in that sense, that which is lesser than the Islamic loyalty, I'm going to give to this nation, which is taking care of me, which has allowed me to stay here. So in that sense, you lose, America. It's not my loss. I will make sure that this country I am in benefits from my efforts, my work, my labor. And when I leave here and I go to another country, I'm going to do the same there because they don't have to take me in, and they have. They've allowed me to come here. I have a nice job. It's not great, but it's a job I enjoy. They don't harass me. I don't give them a hard time. They don't give me a hard time, and everybody's happy. And if my country won't let me do it, then someone else gets that benefit from me. It is what it is. So that's my suggestion to you. If you end up on a no-fly list and you've been outside the U.S. for a long time and you've been working, you know how to work and deal with foreign countries and cultures and adapt exceptionally fast because you do it often like I have, then just do it, man. Just do it. Don't worry about those guys. What's in the U.S. that you can't get anywhere else in the world? Really? Freedom? There's really the only country in the world with freedom? I feel perfectly fine here in the UK. These guys are great. I love it, man. They're funny. They got funky accents. It's amazing here. I find it great. You walk around these ancient cities with all these old buildings, and they've got history to it and like culture. And these are the things, and people with intellectual capacity, social skills, things that Americans don't have. And I'm sorry, Americans, I know y'all think y'all cool. Y'all are cool, but you guys lack a whole lot of common sense. And when you come into the world, you come outside, you travel outside the world. Some of these places are underdeveloped. I'm not talking about the UK, but the people have common sense. They have manners. They have culture, and it puts them above you, despite being lesser than you economically or social or in terms of like first and third world. Guys, you're not losing or missing anything if you're on a no-fly list like me. So that's just the story. I don't know what else to tell you. If you're looking for some more information and I missed it, that's it. This is your man Abuamerican with my story. I'm out.